During the filming of the Home Sweet Home series for the month of March, I figured out how to put our journals together. Welcome, it's Winnie from BellaSunshyn. Let's dive in. I'm already concerned about my journal. The spine on this is already 1.25 inches, and the opening here, it's already 1.5 inches. And this is only 3 months, which means we still have 9 months to go. So I'm thinking with this journal, I'm either going to have a very, very large book with a humongous gator mouth, or the other option I'm gonna end up having to do is making 2 separate books, 2 volumes. And I'm not crazy about that. I just want 1 book for this series. I can remove the inside for each month, and the bulkiness, it's not so bad. It's only about less than 3/4 inches thick, so it's doable. It's not going to be too bad, and it's going to give me 4 pages for our journal for each month. So I think that's the direction I want to go. Even though I've already have 3, I can always use this on a later date, or maybe I can add it if it's not too bulky at the end. I'm sure y'all are wondering what I'm going to end up doing on how to bind this. Well, I've decided I want to go with the accordion style journaling, and if you guys don't know what that is, I will show you. Here's my prototype. Basically what a accordion journaling is, you have, this is the front, so imagine this is the front cover. You flip through just like a regular book as you would, page by page, right? Until you get to the very end. So this is the back cover of a book. When you get to the back cover of the book, you can actually flip through it again on the opposite side. And that's why it's an accordion style. And then you get back to the front. And sometimes you can look at this like this, or of course the other direction, you look at this way. So this is what I want to do for our Home Sweet Home series. So what seems to be the problem? Accordion style journal is a very easy process to do. But the mistake I made is I glued my walls to my base. So there's supposed to be an opening here for January and for February. But on March, I actually have it open like this. We were supposed to have this open. And the way to attach our journal to do the accordion style, for this 3 months, all we needed was this. It's a 2-inch piece of paper, folded in half, and you're going to attach it here like this, and then you'll attach it to the other wall like this. And so when you open this from the back, it's not going to show. It's going to look like that. And of course, you know, you can distress ink that, but I can't do that on mine because I don't have the opening. The only option that I have for these is I would need to do a washi tape or a decorative piece of paper to attach them this way and this way to the other wall. And I'm not liking that look. I feel like it's gonna ruin my page, so I can't do that. So of course, the only solution I have is I have to start over again. I have to redo 3 months worth. I know, sounds crazy, and I started crying about it, but I gotta do it. I would rather go ahead and start over now since we're still early on, and I want to be happy with this journal because I'm really excited about this accordion style journal. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Plus my other issue was that my February one is a lot bigger than my January and my March. So I think it's gonna be okay if I redo things. If you didn't make the same mistake as I did and you guys have this opening, or you guys don't want to start all over again, you want to use what you have, but you want to go ahead and do the same style, the accordion style with me, I will show you all how to attach these three to the rest of the year. Now, if you guys don't want the accordion style, you can continue the process, and I think your best bet is going to be doing a Midori style binding. If you guys are interested in that and that's what you guys are wanting to do for this particular one, just leave me a comment below and then I will do a quick video on how you guys can do that. Let's go ahead and build our accordion. So what we'll need, the easiest for me to do this was I went ahead and got a new template, and this is 2 pieces, and I decided because for some reason I couldn't align my roof. So if you guys are doing the same size as I am, my wall from this tip to the very bottom is 9.5 tall, and then from here to here is 6.5, and then the roof is going to be from here to here is 7. It's about 7.21, and then the height of it is 395. So if you were 3.95, so I guess if you were printing your roof like this, I think on the document you're gonna have to make sure that's what I think they go like this. So from here you need to make sure your roof is at least almost 8 inches wide, and then the height is almost 4 inches. That's what you need to resize your roof for. All right, so we have our template. Then what we'll need is the book page or magazine, whatever you guys were using for your base. Here are my base. I kind of started one, and then I'm gonna show you guys one of them. Okay, here's what we need to do. Here's my set of 4, and I just need one for now. And then we need to go ahead and do our template. And of course, if you open this book, there's our line. And so we're going to place this together like this. And then we're just gonna do our marking. So if you have to, you could paper clip it. I just like to put my weight on there so it doesn't move. Use a pencil, and you're just gonna put a line, some areas here so you can see. I mean, I guess we can trace it like this. I don't know why I didn't do that before. So there's your trace. So here it is. We have a trace. Now, if we put all our 4 pages together, okay, and try to make sure, we need our cutting mat. Now we just want to make sure this is lined up. So line it up as much as you can. Place it like this. And I am going to use my weight so my pages won't move, and I'm so sorry about the glare. Okay, then what I'm gonna do is, oh, I forgot one thing. I forgot we need to measure 6 inches. Just the square of this is only 6 inches. So we need to, no, it's 6.5. Sorry guys. I know my own measurement. So it goes there. And what we want to do is, then you trace, and then you just make your line like that, okay? So we have this line, and we have this line and the triangle. So now I'm just going to reset my pages to make sure they are aligned. You guys can do this individually if you wanted to, but to me this makes it much easier. So what I'm going to do is I am only going to cut this piece, and this piece. So you are going to end up one that looks like this. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Just a little tidbit, when you guys are cutting, make sure you do it a couple of times. So let me turn this around. Okay, as you guys can see, before I take off my ruler, I want to make sure these are pulling out, so that way you don't have to redo it again and then it doesn't quite lined up anymore. So there's that one set. Also, I do want to point out, instead of you know, you can either cut this way or you could have cut this way. Try to do the outside, because sometimes with my blade it's I'll get crooked because if I'm not paying attention, so at least I'm gonna ruin this part and not the house itself. So let me go ahead and cut these other pieces. All right, so this is what we have. There it is. There's our houses. And now what we need to do is, you see how we have this line? I forgot that we have to have that line for each page of this. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and trace my house again and do the line. Actually, I'm sorry, we don't need to do all of them. We need to go ahead, just have one, which was our top one. Then I need you all to open all your pages like this. So we have 4. So now just line them up to make sure that they're lining up. And don't fold them together. Okay, once you have, you just need to be concerned of this one. Just make sure it's lined up on this one. This one, we don't have to worry about that. Then we take our ruler and we're going to cut. Okay, so that was pretty easy. So now our page looked like this. And we have the same thing here. Here are my pages. You'll need 13 bases. And of course you need to deduct 3 if you're going to use the 3 that you've used already. And then on top of that, you will need one single one that just, it looks like our template. So just one of these, 13 base. As you guys can see, I folded my bases already. Don't do that. Let me show you why. So when I went ahead and pre-folded every single one of my base, single like this, it caused some issue. So here are my my other bases, and what I did was kind of just do an experiment to just attach them like this for now, just to kind of put them in order. Okay, so I was testing it to see how it looks, and when I did it, look, it is not lined up because wherever I was folding it, it's not where we needed to be. So do not fold yours yet. I think what we need to do is do them individually to align with the next house. So let me go ahead and unfold all of these, and then we'll start putting them together. If you craft with me and you made your 3 houses already, and you want to continue and you want to try to do the accordion style, here's the problem that we're having. I thought we can do it the easiest way, but it doesn't look like we can. I thought if we attach this, you know, let's pretend it's inside, it's between the wall and the base, and you put that in, then when you flip this over, you have your January front, the inside of your January, and then you go directly to the February inside. So you're losing out the end of your January and the beginning of your February. So that can't work. And then if we try to do it on the spine section, which I thought we could, we can't either, because then we're actually ending up closing this. So there's nothing to flip over. It won't be an accordion style anymore. So that's not going to work either. I think there's only 2 things you can do. You can either restart from the beginning like I am doing, or you would have to redo the back page of the month and the front page of the month. So you can actually make a base with 2 flap, like you won't cut this piece, okay? So let's say this is connected like this, because it's inside your January. You would have to redo your January on the back of this, and then you would have to do your February on the back. So you would only have to do those pages. And then this flap is gonna go inside your second month, and then that would put you in the same order. Then you would have to do the same thing for March. You'll have to do the back of February, the beginning of March, and when you get to the end of March, you still have to do the same thing. You'll have to do another one here. So this would be the back of your March, and then this is April. So this is where you would be starting off gluing the rest of the base that you have. I'm hoping that makes sense. That's the only solution that I have. So it's a little less work than you trying to do all 3 months. So it's entirely up to you what you want to do. You can do it that way, or like I said, if you're interested in doing the Mindori style, I think we can do it that way. Just let me know if that's what you want to do, and I can do a short film on how you can attach your house pages. Let me explain this Mindori style binding. What you would need, you would still need these type of, you can use fabric or paper, and we'll call these connectors. And what would you need to do is, for the connector, you would have to make sure your spines are still open for all of your months, and you need to go ahead and attach the January one to your February one, like this, right? That's attached. Then you would have to do the February to March. Like this. And then we're going to pretend this is April. Then you would do your April and your March. Now, if I were you, if you're going to use the connectors, I would make the connector the same size as most of the base of my house. I think this is 6 inches for me. So you just have to measure yours. Yes, it's 6. So you just need to measure yours and then make your connectors that way. So once you have them connected like this, then you are able to flip through your pages perfectly fine, right? And of course, if you're going to do a cover, you're gonna need another connector to attach your January to your cover. So make sure you still don't close this in yet until you're 100% sure you got all your pages together. So once you have that, I'm gonna call for each month, it's a mini signature, because remember originally what I was doing, I had these second page inside. I would have had to sew these in together, and then that would be one mini signature. And then I would do the rest of them for each month. Then once I attach 4 of them together like this, then this is the actual signature. So that's one signature. So in total, I would have had 3 signatures and 12 mini signature, one for each month, right? So when you have all that, you will have this together, and this is your February and March, so this is kind of your center. What you would do for the Mindori, you would need some elastic cord that you can buy. So you would, this is a Mindori style one that I have, because with this one I can actually, let me see here, I'm just trying to find the center. Oh, here's my center. So here's the elastic. I can remove all my pages out, which with this one, oops, hello Moon. I'm gonna need my space, Moon, sorry. So with this one, I'm gonna have to be very careful. You're actually gonna put your February into your elastic here. Like this. Then it's connected to your base. And then you can flip through with no problem, just like this. That is the Mindori style binding. You just have to make sure you have it tight enough that it doesn't move much. Like right now it's moving a lot because my pages are not all together. I'm hoping I've explained this clear enough for you guys to understand and to make your decision on how you can continue with your project. Now with this journal that I have here, I do have a playlist on how I built this, so I will link that below. So if you guys want to look at that, then that would kind of explain more on how I did this this journal. Let's go ahead and put our base together. These are for the people that are actually starting all over again. So this is the procedure we are needing to do. Remember, we have 13 bases and 1 single one. And this is how we're gonna do this. So we are taking our first page. Now the reason why there's 13 is that this is actually going to be the cover page. And when you open it, this is the back of the cover, and then January, it's actually gonna start here. Since I don't know what I'm gonna decorate the front yet, I'm just not gonna concentrate on that one. I'm gonna concentrate on this one. So this is your cover, the back cover of your cover, and then your January. Okay, so what we need to do is, I think for this, I am going to use my 3-in-1 glue, because in case we need to move something, it would be a lot easier to do this than our art glitter glue or glue stick. I need it to be able to move. So what we need to do is to make sure we aligned our page like this. And you guys are probably gonna need some clips. You sitting on it, Moon? Okay, let's see. I'm gonna... Okay, then with this one, we need to glue to this. So first thing first, flip this over like this. And making sure we're still lined up. then you would have to fold this to that crease of this page here. And you can use a ruler, you can eyeball it, but this tool for me is a paint shield. It works pretty good for me. It helps me get right on the edge. Kind of gives you a little bit, and then you fold it like this, and then we're gonna glue. Right, just making sure we're still lined up. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna glue like here. Let's see. Let's just go ahead and do it. We'll never know until we try. So now let's go ahead and do our second page. Again, we are going to line it up. And I'm going to clip mine. And then I am going to use my paint shield to just help me fold to the place where I need to. And I can see that there's a little bit of a gap there, and I think that's what was missing when we didn't do it individually. And you just, and then we are just going to glue. So now we have 3 pages glued, and I'm just gonna go show you guys one more time just to make sure you guys are following along. We need our next page, and we're going to line it up. Clip it. Use our helping tool, whatever that is, to help us guide to refold or to fold. For me, I'm refolding. Okay, oops. So now I'm running into a problem. I think as your pages get thick, the harder it's gonna be. I don't know if you guys can see, there's like already a gap right there. And that's what I'm trying to prevent here. So I need to make sure I'm lined up again. Maybe my fold is in the wrong spot. And I think it's my fold. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of eyeball it. That was a little hard, but I managed, and that's what we want to try to prevent. See, so now there's still just a little bit, but it's not too bad. So I'm gonna try not to be so gear into everything's got to be perfect. So now I'm just gonna glue. So I have my, what is this, our fourth page glued together, and it's still lined up, not a problem. And what we just need to do is to go ahead and continue until you get to your, let's see, don't do your last 2 pages. So I'll go ahead and do the remaining, and then I'll do these together with you guys. Okay, I got all my base glued together. The only thing that I have left is the back. I thought we had to do this differently the last two, but I guess we don't. The only thing I just wanted to point out was when you're doing your single page, just make sure before you glue that you actually try to make sure it's still lined up, because I had mine, I almost glued it and it was going to be like this, and there's a little gap here on the roof, but if I switch this around then it's aligned. So I'm going to go ahead and glue my last piece. I have all my bases glued together, so now what I want to do is just flip it through to make sure on the opposite side that they're not stuck together. So you just need to go ahead and check, because I did have one. Hello, Moon. So I'm just gonna check through. I'm gonna attempt to, oh my goodness. I'm gonna attempt to go ahead and look while Moon gets situated here. I have all my bases glued together, and I'm hoping you guys can see this because Moon took over my desk. And this is our accordion style journal. They are all glued together. And you guys will notice that this end here, I'm calling this the spine because this is where the original fold was. And then this other one is the opening where we glued them together. You guys are gonna notice that the spine is thinner than the front here. I think that's gonna be okay. They'll balance out once we start decorating our journal. And also, the roof has been kind of bothering me a little bit because it's not quite aligned the way I would want it, but I'm trying to embrace the imperfection. I think we could have done this a little bit different. I'm sure there was an easier way to do it, which I'm thinking, you know, we probably shouldn't have cut out our house yet. We could have just glued them together and then cut the house. I don't know, but anyway, this is what we have. I'm not going to cover this because this is the front cover and this is the back front cover, so I'm not going to do anything yet with these, but I will start my January here, and I'm going to go ahead and do the first month. I'm going to do it exactly the way I have it decorated. What happened to those pages? I forgot I left them in here. So I am gonna, to make my life easier, I'm gonna just copy the same way as I did my originals. I might change up a couple of thing or two, but overall I'm gonna go ahead and just copy my design here. I'm hoping that you guys are doing the same project as I am. So I wanna give you guys a couple of tips that I'm learning throughout this process. This is the freebie that Caroline has for us for March. And what I did with her image is I stretched it out to fit the size of my journal. And I believe this is 7 1/4. And the height on this from this tip of the roof to here is 9 1/2. This is supposed to be the front, and there's the back. And then for the inside, this is what I decided to use, which is also her freebie. And the same width is 7 1/4, but the height on this is going to be 9.75. It's what I have the image as. And so it prints to the size that I want. Let me show you guys on how I cut this up so you guys can kind of know the process here. As you can see, I have the back of February on this and it's overlapping. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to do an extra protection for this crease, I guess, because as you guys can see, mine has holes from being sewn into the book. And so I want to make sure my pages doesn't get ripped. So that's why I have it overlapped over here. And so this is supposed to be the front of March, and these are the inside. So the next overlap is going to be right here. Let's do the front page first. And what you'll need is your cutting mat and a metal ruler, however you need to cut your pages. And I have my knife here. So all I'm going to do is cut this white part off. So as you guys can see, I only cut the corners here. And for this over here, I am gonna cut from this tip to the very end of this root because we're not gonna need this. And there's no need to cut here yet because we wanna make sure we have it in the right place here. So my process is I'll put it looks like I didn't even, no, it's okay. We're just gonna need to put this on the side like this. And see, you wanna make sure you're lined up. So whatever you guys have as a tool, I'm always using my weight because that allows my pages to not move. And I am just making a crease for the inside here, just so I know to kind of where to help it fold. Because you don't want to get right on the crease of this because then it'll just kind of fold anyway. Once you have that, now we just need to cut it. Before you glue, make sure you go ahead and ink your side here. And I am just using my ground espresso throughout my journal here. So I'm using the same one. So I'm gonna go ahead and ink this up. You don't need to ink the top because that's gonna be cover, but I wanna go ahead and also ink the edges of the house here just to make sure that I get the color I want. I have my edges inked, and now all I need to do is I'm gonna go ahead and glue it. Now, for right now, I'm still not gluing this inside edge over here, so I'm only gonna put glue over the top, the spine section, and then at the bottom, leaving this open just for in case. I don't want to make the same mistake as I did. For this particular one, I am using my 3-in-1 glue because this allows me to make adjustment if I need to. So that's what I'm using here. Okay, now that's glued. See, it's open. Now the next thing I do is I'm gonna go ahead and work the inside for this one. So the next one we have is gonna be these pages. And I don't think it's gonna matter on which one I use. Okay, so for this one, I am going to cut this white off and this one. Okay, so I have this cut, and what I'm gonna do is I am going to line this up again like this. So now what I want to do is glue over here and over here. Okay, I forgot to ink, which is gonna be okay. I can still ink, but it's very important that we ink first before we start gluing. So for the inside, now what I do is I need to cut up the shape of my roof here, like here. So what I need to do is I need another mat. You guys can get this at the Dollar Tree. Very, very useful. And I'm just gonna cut the excess. Now I just need to glue this. There you go, that's one side. Now I just need to do the same one. Now with this one, it's a little bit of a different process here. So I'm gonna go ahead and again cut this white off and this white off because we're going off this corner. Now with this one, we need this to line up over here. So what we want to do with this one is, because we can't glue it, because we need to be able to cut this is where the template that we have is going to play into this. It's very important that when you guys look at your template to your page, when you try to line up this corner and this corner, you should be able to tell whether you are looking at the right side. You see how there's really not much, you're not showing any gap here, but if we turn this around like this and we do this corner to corner, you're going to tell that this is the wrong side because look, there's a big gap over here. So for me to trace my wall, I have to do it this way, and I need to do this corner. So all I'm gonna do is trace. What you want to do then is cut the shape. We'll go ahead and check to see if we did it right. Looks like it so far. So now we're gonna make the crease. So now we want to go ahead and cut this. Now what we want to do is go ahead and ink this. And I'm also going to ink over here also. Okay, now they're all inked, and now all I need to do is glue. There you go, there's the inside. Then now I need to do, making sure, I forget that there's a hole on the back side, so we need to make sure our pages are not getting glued together. Okay, so now we need to go ahead and do the back. So I'm gonna cut this off here, and then I'm also gonna cut over here, because remember, we don't need this roof. So now we are going to just glue this like we did the last one, like this. But first, make sure you ink. With this one, we're only going to ink this side and the bottom. I have the back covered. Now let's talk about roof. So the roof here, we need to make sure that because now we're doing our February and March together, there's gonna be the line of the roof. You want them to be consistent. So what I ended up having to do is making another template. This is basically for the roof. So I place it like this. And which means there's my line where the roof should start. But for the month of March, I already have the bottom inked up. So as you guys can see, we have these 4-leaf clover kind of dangling. That's gonna go over the roof here because this is actually where the roof line is, because then our paper is not gonna be enough, like that. So this is kind of like extra. If I do it this way, as you guys can see, I don't have it covered enough, which maybe I shouldn't have cut it, but I like the look better like this. So as you guys can remember what I did, you see, it overhangs, which I think is perfectly fine. So what we need to do is, I did not ink this side or this side because we're gonna end up cutting it. So I wanna go ahead, the way I do this, I've tried to do this the easiest way. I've tried to do templates and it wasn't working out. So to me, this is the best solution I have. From this tip, I try to line it up like this, and I just keep pushing it forward until this lines up to my Cheerio box here, like this. So there it is. So that means that is where I want to glue, because the point is right here. So now what I need to do is I place another weight here, and then I'll glue. Let me go ahead and do this off camera because I gotta really get in there. So I have the side glued over here, and all I'm gonna do over here is just fold it up. Remember, we don't want to glue like the upper, this part over here, because we might end up inserting something. Like I think I did it for the month of March, so I'm gonna leave that open, but you can go ahead and put glue all over here and that would be fine. So over here, I'm just gonna fold, let's see, and I just ripped that off the best that I could using my ruler here. So now, as you guys can see, we have that gap. So what we need to do is cut that piece. So we need our mat. Let's see, and I just try to do, when I do my mat, I just make sure I'm working on that one page. That way, in case you mess up, you're only gonna ruin one page. So there it is. There's the roof. It's pretty much lined up except this one. I think in January and February you can see it's a pretty good line over there. So this is very helpful for me. So I will be using this a lot along with this template. So guys, make sure you have your template. I'm gonna go ahead and finish doing the roof on the back and decorating, and I'll show it to you guys when I'm done. I finished working on my journal. Let me show you guys what I have. This is for the month of January. This is a new one. I made a tag and a journal check just for writing. Here's the inside of January. And this is the back of the January, which looks different. I originally had this belly band corner, which I was not liking. It's already, as you can see, it's already getting ripped, and my note card here would not stay in place. So I wasn't too crazy about that, so I went ahead and changed it up. February stayed pretty much the same. Tried to use the same journal card that I already made. The note card over here, and this one is the same. Here's for March. Now with the March, I did change this particular page. This is the original, and I wasn't too crazy about this because my journaling card would not stay in place. It keeps falling this way, and it's also getting caught. Because like I said, this doily is really rough from the back. So I changed it up a little bit over here. I did make a tuck spot. So this is the journaling card. When that's not there, it looks like that. And I actually love this now, and it's actually one of my favorite pages. And my journaling card just goes in there pretty easy. Here's another journaling card over here. And this is the end of March. Then I will be working on April for next week's video. But before I let you guys go, I would like to go over a couple more tips that I learned through the process of decorating this page. The first one I have is that when I was decorating the inside of my January, this was the original. And I try to cut these to size over here, and I accidentally cut way too close, and it actually cut through the connector we had over here. So I had to rebuild these couple of pages. And if you guys make the same mistake as I did, all you're gonna need is you need a connector, and you just need to place it over here, and then it goes right in here. This is why it's kind of important to not glue your pages yet until at the very end. There's a couple of reasons. But if you want to avoid accidentally cutting your pages while you're working on it, what I would suggest to do, which is what I'm doing, is, let's see, let me get a paper here. Okay, let's say this was going to be our inside for this month. If I'm working on the right side, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the white off here and off over here, and I would line it up to the edge, to this corner edge over here. I would line this up, and once I have that lined up, then I would do the, the fold in the center. And then that way, if you need to cut anything, you're cutting it off of here, and it's not going to be on the book. If you're working on the left side, you're going to do the same thing. Is you take this off and this, put it on the corner, and you fold. And if you need to cut, you cut it on the spine section. And then you can glue it afterwards. That's going to avoid you accidentally cutting your pages. The other reason for leaving these open, mine are open except this page over here. The rest are still open. I wanted to keep that open just in case, like if we're done with this journal and there's still space, it's not too bulky. I really like this piece. I kind of wanted to put this on, but it doesn't quite fit in here. But later on, if I want to, all we need is a connector. Glue it inside here, and then I'm going to glue this shut like this, so my page would look like this, right? And then I'm just going to connect it in here, and it's going to give me an extra page that's a flip, which is kind of cute. So I'm hoping I'll be able to do that in some of the pages. But if you guys don't want to do that, just go ahead and glue it. I would just wait till, like for instance with this one, I can go ahead and glue the February one, and then leave my, at least this March over here open, just in case something happened when I'm working on April. The last thing I wanted to point out is, you guys are not going to be able to tell, but on my journal here, I can tell that my journal slopes down. Most of the bulk is at the bottom of the house, because I think it's from the pockets that we are making. So there's no bulk on the roof. So I think for the month of April, what I'm gonna do is I probably try to not cut the roof. Let me see. When I'm cutting this, remember we are just cutting this piece and taking out the roof. So I think for April, I'm gonna try to keep most of the roof and gluing it together here, and hopefully that's gonna give us some bulk on the roof section, and hopefully that will even it out. I am so happy that I went with the accordion style journal. I love flipping through my journal, looking through it. I love that it stays pretty flat over here, and I can't wait to finish the first 6 months of the year. I'm so curious as to how thick our book is going to be, but I'm absolutely enjoying and loving this journal. I would highly recommend for you guys to give it a try. If you guys are not doing the Home Sweet Home series, that's fine. Just make a journal that's the accordion style. If you guys have any questions for me, just leave a comments below. Until next week, thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting.